Where the fuck do I begin with this shit, guys, man? Where do I begin? So, I was trying to find a video of the Derek Chisora Carlos Takam knockout because I read the news, I read about the fight, I already knew the result, and I just wanted to see the knockout. That was all I wanted to see. And I ended up foolishly coming across one of the bigger channel in the YTBC's full fight review style videos, He's one of those guys, one of those clickbait whores. And it's a guy who doesn't like me, and I don't like him either. He's a racist, he's a piece of shit, he's a propaganda spewer, and he's a guy whose channel I avoid at all costs. So I should have really read the full title before clicking the video and subjecting myself to that nonsense. But I decided to watch about half to three quarters of the video, and what I heard was it had me in fucking stitches. Fucking hilarious, man. I mean, when I think to myself about this guy's history and stuff that this guy has said in the past, and then sort of marry that to what he said in this video, I just lost it, man. I really, really lost it. Some of you probably know who I'm talking about, but I really don't want to say his name. I really don't want to promote this dickhead's channel at all because he's just a nasty piece of shit, to be honest, and a racist and a scumbag and a guy who deceives people. So enough about that. So as this guy was doing a full fight review, because you don't review the full fight most of the time. You only review part of the fight. You go for your clickbait shit, don't you? That's how these big channels get big. You'll never see that shit on my channel. I can promise you guys. But yeah, full fight review or spectacular KO review. He was talking about this Derek Chisora Carlos Takam fight, a fight in which it was two guys who are basically relics of the Klitschko era. And what I mean by that is, and that's relevant to the point I'm trying to make in this video, those guys are relics of the Klitschko era. During the Klitschko era, Carlos Takam and Derek Chisora were two guys who were borderline fringe contenders, or should I say top domestic level players in the sport. Derek Chisora, of course, got a shot at the world title against Vitaly Klitschko, a 41-year-old part-time boxer, Vitaly Klitschko, who was more interested in politics than he was in fighting, and got absolutely embarrassed. Derek Chisora went in the ring, got pummeled, got beaten the shit out of, lost nearly every round, clearly. And got praised for it. I remember that shit. Derek Chisora, after getting the fucking shite beaten out of him by Vitaly Klitschko and getting dominated over 12 rounds, he actually got praised for his performance because he made it the distance and because he didn't end up in hospital afterwards. I mean, that's how these guys in the UK celebrate mediocrity. If you're able to be even remotely, if you're even to be able to be even remotely competitive against one of the Klitschko brothers or one of these top Eastern European fighters, you get praised and they get criticized. That's what it's like. And basically, this clown who hated on the Klitschkos, honestly, his hatred for the Klitschko brothers, I remember, was sickening. The shit he used to post, not just in his videos, because he was quite politically correct in videos sometimes, depending on his mood, but the shit he used to post on Facebook and the shit that he used to post on forums and whatnot about the Klitschkos. This guy had a sick, deep hatred for these guys, and it stemmed from the fact that these guys were white Eastern Europeans. And this guy is basically an undercover black supremacist, okay? He hates white people with a passion. He won't admit it, but if you truly listen to what he says, and if you truly read between the lines, you get the type of person he is, okay? He's from a real disgusting, degenerate area of London, which is full of black supremacists. I won't name the area. Let's not go there, but he's from a real disgusting area where it's just full of people like that, if you know what I mean. And if you walk through there and you're not the right skin color, you get stabbed to death, basically. That's the background he comes from, and he hated the Klitschkos. He hated seeing these British fighters like David Haye and Derek Chisora and Danny Williams and these American guys like Kevin Johnson and Eddie Chambers and whatnot, all these other guys. He hated seeing these guys get knocked the fuck out by these two big, solid white Eastern European boxers. These big, really, really well-conditioned athletes. These guys who were two of the best athletes you've ever seen, two of the biggest and strongest, most well-built and well-put-together athletes you've ever seen. He just couldn't handle it. Like, he actually had mental breakdowns in videos. I remember the shit he used to post online, like, after their fights. He used to get so fucking irate and over the top over these guys. It was hilarious, and me and others used to take the piss out of him for it. And yeah, basically, but let me. I digress. Let me talk about what he said in this video. So he talked about Derek Chisora having a decent fight with Carlos Takam. He said it was a fun fight and it was a spectacular knockout. This, that, and the other. It was an entertaining fight on a fairly entertaining card. And he dropped a fucking bombshell, man. Like, he said that because Derek Chisora knocked out Carlos Takam in a fairly decent fight, he said that this proves that we are in a golden age of heavyweight boxing. For fuck's sake, man! Let me just try and repeat that and try and keep a straight face. I can't even say it with a straight face. Because Derek Chisora knocked out Carlos Takam in a decent fight, this it proves that we are in a golden age of heavyweight boxing. These two guys, these two fucking little short, stubby, guys who were from the Klitschko era, relics of the Klitschko era, guys who were sparring partners and were punching bags for the Klitschkos back at their prime. And now the Klitschkos are gone and these two guys are still hanging around because they still need money. and these guys having a fairly decent fight and one of them winning by knockout proves the superiority of this heavyweight division from the past Klitschko era. And Dillian Whyte beating Joseph Parker. First of all, I haven't seen that fight. I'm not interested in that bullshit. I mean, from what I hear, a trusted subscriber of mine tells me that it was just a piece of shit fight with Dillian Whyte fouling the whole fight and the referee, in the UK not giving a shit. I can totally believe that because that's what happens here in the UK, let's be real. Golden age of heavyweight boxing with guys like fucking Derek Chisora and Carlos Takam knocking lumps out of each other. I mentioned in previous videos, I'll post a link in the description, about how you've got fucking Manuel Chaw, another guy that got embarrassed, got stopped by, I think, a 42-year-old on the verge of retirement. Vitaly Klitschko stopped this guy in 4 rounds. This guy's a heavyweight champion. You've got Manuel Chaw holding a version of the heavyweight title, but this is a golden era. This is a golden age of heavyweight boxing. What the fuck, man? I'm having a breakdown myself, just a pure laughter, man. I'm having flashbacks to when, these guys used to say that David Haye was going to decapitate the Klitschkos and shit, and I just couldn't wait to see it, man. I'm having flashbacks to that. I mean, this is funny shit, man. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, who are never going to fight anytime soon because they're pulling a Mayweather-Pacquiao on our asses and saying they're going to fight and having Twitter negotiations and shit. And we're probably not going to see the fight for at least another 2 years. And who knows if, obviously nothing's going to get in the way of the fight. So all their fights until then are all going to be fixed. So, but this is a golden era. This is a golden age of heavyweight boxing. You got two heavyweights that are even worth talking about. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. And they're not going to fight until a couple of years down the line when they let it marinate, quote unquote marinate the fight. Really, they're just trying to, string the fight along and delay it like Mayweather Pacquiao and get as much money out of it as possible at the expense of fans. I certainly won't be paying for it. I probably won't even watch it. But you got these two guys. I mean, what was the complaint about the Klitschko era? Was that you had two guys that were the champions but weren't fighting each other. At least they had a reason. They were brothers, and they used to batter the fuck out of every fucking top contender out there. I mean, the amount of undefeated top 10 ranked heavyweights that Vladimir Klitschko fought was astonishing. You know, back to back undefeated contenders. And then even the last two guys that he lost to were undefeated contenders, were elite fighters, Anthony Joshua and, of course, a prime Tyson Fury, who he probably would have beaten if he was at his prime. Vladimir probably wouldn't have lost those fights, but you know that's a separate issue. What I'm pointing out is how the fuck is this a golden age of heavyweight boxing? You've got fucking Freza Kendo, 45-year-old Freza Kendo, fighting for the heavyweight title soon. You've got guys like Shannon Briggs, another Klitschko victim, a guy who got his face disfigured by an old Vitaly Klitschko, a guy who spent 12 days in hospital after fighting Vitaly Klitschko. He was mandatory for a world title last year until he failed a drug test. He was fucking mandatory. You've got Alexander Povetkin fighting Anthony Joshua next in what's considered Joshua's biggest test so far outside of the Klitschko fight. And Alexander Povetkin, another Klitschko victim, a guy who was dominated by Vladimir Klitschko, an aging Vladimir Klitschko back in 2013 when Povetkin was at his prime in Russia. You know, that guy is a mandatory for several titles right now. And you're telling me that this shit is a golden era of heavyweight boxing. What a fucking clown, man. I mean, these big channels on this YTBC shit, man, they're a bunch of fucking retards, man. This shit is pathetic. Let me know what you guys think about this bullshit, and thanks for watching. God bless.